Welcome back to UK Planet Tools. I'm Steve from Makita, and we've got some fantastic products that we launched in January 25 to show you on the LXT and XGT platform. We've got some sanding, cutting, impact drivers, cleaning items, as well as nailers for you to have a look at. So let's get into it and have a closer look. So we've got two new impact wrenches on the XGT platform from Makita. They are the TW009G and the TW010G. Now I've only got one of the machines in front of me, and this is the 010G. Now the difference between the two before we go in the specs of the machine is the TW009G has a short anvil, so a standard anvil on the end, which is a 1 inch in diameter for a 1 inch socket. And the TW010G, which is the one I have in front of me, that's got a 1 inch anvil for a 1 inch socket, but the anvil itself is 163 millimeters in length. So between the two machines, if you're doing steel erection, where you're manufacturing steel, engineering, that type of thing, then the short anvil would be ideal for that. But if you're doing replacing tires on tractors, trucks, any sort of machinery, tracks on diggers, then the long anvil will be useful because you'll be able to get into the tighter spaces. So that's the difference between the two. Both of the machines have identical specs and the same type of body. So there's no difference in the body, it literally just is the anvil. So when we get to the machine, the massive feature of this and the torque on this is a huge 4,000 Newton meters of nut busting torque, and the fastening torque is 3,150. So the features on the machine are, at the bottom of the machine where we take our 40 volt battery, it has got a massive anti-vibration plate in there to take the shock away from using the impact and the energy going through into the battery. With that anti-shock plate in there, it eliminates that so it won't damage the battery when using. We've got a nice large trigger on the top to power the machine. And again, with that trigger and the control modes on the bottom, we can set that trigger to go full speed when you touch the trigger, or you can allow it to be variable speed, so you can set it however you need that machine to work. Well, as we move around to the top, we've got our forward and the reverse by the switch. We have a large ring hook on the top, so this machine is a very heavy machine and you can use it with lanyards, so if you are using it in hard to reach places, you can take the weight off that by using that ring on the front. As we move down to the front, we've got a large side handle. So when we are using the machine, we can adjust that into the appropriate position to make it nice and comfortable for the user. And then down on the front of the machine, we've got a massive LED ring light that goes around the whole head of the machine, which we can control from the panel by dimming it in 3 different light settings. The control panel itself has 4 different power settings. So you've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 to set on there with the power button. Then if you hold that button in, we've got some assist modes, which are, when you put it in assist mode 1, it will allow the machine to tighten up till it's fully tight. As soon as it gets to that tight spot, it will switch the machine off. In mode 2, it will tighten it up fully, then run for another half a second after to get a max tightening on there. And then in mode 3, it will allow us to tighten up fully tight and then run for an extra second over to run over and tighten it up even further. So that is the TW010G and the TW009G from Makita. So this is the new SDS Plus from Makita, the HR2670. So as it says in the name, it's the 2670, so that means it will do 26 mm into concrete. It does that with an 800 watt motor, which has been re-engineered to be more durable and more efficient, so when you're using it, you'll get a lot more out of the machine. The back of the machine is designed nice and ergonomically with a nice rubber grip on there to keep your hands nice and comfortable when using the machine. It's got a large trigger so that you can push it in different angles, and it will also allow you to lock that trigger on. Now with that in mind as well, the design of the ergonomical housing at the back will allow you to lock the trigger on, and then with the design, it will allow you to put your hand at the top so that you're not continuously pushing the trigger, and it keeps your wrist in line so that it takes the stress off your wrist, so you're not having it at an angle that's putting pressure on it. So with that in line, you can push forward and keep doing a numerous amount of holes without it affecting your wrist in any way. So as we move up to the top of the machine, we've got our forward and reverse switch. So when this goes in forward and reverse, because it is done on the switch which rotates the brushes, that gives you the same amount of power forward as it does back. and this machine will produce 3 joules of impact energy when it is in the hammer mode function. As we move to the bottom of the machine, we have our mode selector. So we've got our hammer only, rotation and hammer, and then we've got our rotation only. So that, depending on what application you're doing, whether you're chiseling, drilling, or drilling into concrete, you've got your mode selection on the bottom of the machine there. We move up to our standard SDS truck on the front of the machine. So when we're using that with our SDS bit, all we do is locate and push back to lock the bit inside, and then to release, we just pull back the neck of the chuck and release the drill bit. We've then got a side handle as well, which is multi-positional, so we can move that into any position that we need to for comfort, as well as a depth stop on there to help you. So when you are drilling continuous holes at a certain length, you can set that to that desired length, and that will stop the machine from going. So that was the HR 2670, available in 110 volt and 240 volt. So this is the DHW 180Z pressure washer on the 18 volt LXT platform. The pressure washer itself is nice and simple. The whole unit is actually built into this wand here, so you don't need an extra power supply or a water butt to go with it. It is just solely this unit that takes an 18 volt battery, and the power unit is in the head of the machine. So for the machine, we have a nice enclosed water ingress protection back box. So when we put our battery on there, it's got nice seals on it as well, so the battery's not going to get wet or damaged in any way, and that just clips up and locks into position there. We then have a nice large trigger which can be locked off so that it doesn't get pushed when you pack it away and isn't running the machine dry. We just flick that button over to the side, and that gives us full access to pull the trigger on the machine. At the top of the machine, we've got our power settings. So we've got power mode 1 and power mode 2. Now this machine will go up to 28 bars of pressure. And with that, with the 18 volt battery, depending on whether you're in high and low mode, will run for 18 minutes or 50 minutes. As we come round to the bottom of the machine, we have our water inlet valve, which is just a nice screw-on cap there. And that has a filter inside as well, so it stops any debris getting sucked up into the machine. And then when we're running the machine itself, we can plug it into our hose that comes into the box. And then the other end of that hose, we have an adapter. So if we're running it from a water butt, we can put that on and just drop it into the tank, and that will filter the water out as it goes into the tube. Or we can take it and just plug it into the mains tap. So if you've got a garden tap, that will just clip into there, and we can run the machine from there. With the hose or the lances, we have 2 lances. So we've got one that's an extension and one which is our 6-in-1. So we can put our extension on the front of the machine. Then we can put our 6-in-1 lance. And with that, that gives you adjustment on the fan of the water jet coming out. So it sets it in 6 different angles of degrees, and you can set that manually just by flicking that over, and it has a nice positive stop in the machine. So that is the DHW 180Z pressure washer from Makita. So this is the PS 001 GZ scrubber polisher from Makita. Now the main idea of this is it would replace a standard mop and bucket, and it's really for anyone that's got larger areas that they need to clean, where they would need to usually scrub. So this takes away all the fatigue of doing that manually by using the powered head on the scrubber itself. So ideally used for cleaning floors, decks, linos, that type of material, and doing it very quickly. You can also adjust the head so you can get up against skeleton boards as well. So if you are cleaning a large area and you want to go along the side of the wall, you can adjust the head to make it be able to do that. So we'll start off at the head itself. So with the head, it can be fixed in position, or it does have this very easy to use multi-pivotal head. But on the side and on the front, there is 2 screws that we can lock it in. So if you do want to lock it into a position, you can do that. But with it as it is, it just slides in any direction that you wish. On the bottom of the machine, you can see from your scrubbing brush, you have like a protective outer layer, which is always there. And then your mop heads or your cleaning pads are the pads on the inside, which you change. So with that in mind on the outside, it should always keep everything inside the machine and not splashing around too much, so that you're not making too much more mess. As we come down to the neck of the machine, there is your adjustment lever in the middle to set your depth. So as it is as standard, it's at 1 meters. And when we undo that clip and extend it, it extends out to 1.4 meters. and that's easy to do with the nice clamp on the side. Then you've got your handle, which you can adjust into the forward and back positions again. So depending on how tall you are or how long your arms are will depend where they sit on the machine. And you can get that handle nice and comfortable for you, so when you're using it, it's not causing you any fatigue. As we go up to the top of the machine, we've got our power indicator at the top, which has our 3 speed settings along with our indicator to show us if we're overloading it or overheating the machine. So if you are pushing down too much on this, you can cause the head to overheat. That will indicate with an orange light to tell you that it is overheating, and if you continue to do that, it will just switch the machine off to save you from burning out the motor and damaging it in any way. We've then got our power button, which is our selector as well. So we push the button down once to turn the machine on, and then if we give it a quick push, it will go through the 1, 2, 3 power stages that's on the machine. And then you do have a reverse button as well to make the machine go in the opposite direction for a few seconds. Now, mainly the reason we have that reverse on there is because there is a way of changing the heads without you having to get down on your knees and touch them. So if they are wringing wet, you can push down a little bit of pressure on the front of the head. And with the reverse button on, turn the trigger, that will reverse the machine and unlock the head and drop it into place so that you can remove it. Then when you want to put the head back on, you just line the head up with the mop head that you've got on the floor, push your machine into the forward motion, a little bit of pressure on the front, turn the trigger, and then that will lock the next head into position so that you can carry on cleaning. And then lastly on this machine, on the back, you've got a nice big waterproof cover that holds your battery. So your 4 amp hour, 40 volt battery can slot in, lock it off, and now it's protected. So if you are using any detergents or cleaning liquids on the floor and they do splash up onto the machine, your battery is completely protected and it won't cause it any damage. And lastly, to add to this, when you're all finished and you want to pack the machine away, so sometimes your head might be covered in detergent, you get a waterproof bag in the box, which the head goes in, zips up. You can also store all your accessories in there as well. So if you've got different heads, you can keep them in the bag. Keep the head in the bag, it keeps it protected and stops any liquid from running around your vehicle or wherever you're storing it. So that is the PS001 GZ scrubber polisher from Makita. So this is the DUA 200 18 volt pole saw from Makita. The pole saw itself, the main feature of it, as it is a pole saw, it has got 3 different pole attachments to go in it. So it can go from 1.6 to 2.5 meters, right up to 3.5 meters in total length when you set all the bars on the machine. So on the bottom of the machine, we put our 18 volt LXT battery, which has a battery protection guard there. So if you do bang the bottom of the machine on the floor, it will protect the battery. Then we move up to our on and off trigger. And then we've got a lock off button on that trigger. So the machine won't lock on, but it will lock off to stop you from depressing that and causing yourself harm. We've got a harness point on the top of the machine there. So if you are using it for long periods of time, in the box you do get a harness which you can put on. So it takes the weight of the machine and makes it more comfortable for you to use. Along with a nice ergonomical grip positioned lower down on the machine so that you can have 2 hands on it with one on the trigger and one hand up on the rubber grip to keep it comfortable as well to balance the weight. All the adjustments are done with these spindle locks on the top, which do slide over part of the bar and then lock in as well. So it's not just hanging on by that thread. You do have some of the bar going up inside of the actual closing part, so it locks it in nice and tightly so it won't flex by just being, as I said, connected with the thread. We walk up to the top of the machine, and as you can see from the head, with this we have 9 different stages of pivots. So if we push the button in the side, it will allow us to set our head position in whatever direction we want, or depending on how we're cutting our branches. We then have our toolless blade change and adjustment. So if you want to do the tension, it is spring loaded. And then when we want to change the bar or chain on the machine, we can just flick that little finger switch up and rotate that to undo, change our bar, chain, put it back on and lock it all with no tools needed. It is all just done by your hands. Bar cover. So the bar and chain that we have on here is a 200mm chain and bar. And then round the reverse side, we have our oil reservoir to keep our chain nice and lubricated so that it doesn't snap, get dry and go blunt very quickly. And that's again easy to do toolless with the thumb screw on the top to undo that. So that was the DUA 200 pole saw from Makita on the LXT platform. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed looking at the new products we launched in January 2025 and look forward to a lot more new products coming out in the future. For any of the information, specs or pricing on the products that I've just shown you, they are all available on UK Planet Tools' website, or check their social media out for their new products coming out throughout the year. And I'll see you next time with some new tools.